Kathleen Kennedy's tenure at Lucasfilm has been nothing short of an unmitigated disaster, an abysmal descent into mediocrity that has taken one of the most beloved and iconic franchises in cinematic history and dragged it through the mud.
That's a great accomplishment, Carol. Amazing.
The idea that she's holding out for some big win before she finally exits the scene is not only laughable, but it's also an insult to every Star Wars fan who has endured the travesty that Lucasfilm has become under her reign. The harsh truth is, Kennedy wouldn't know what a genuine success looks like even if it hit her square in the face. Her continued presence at Lucasfilm is like a festering wound, one that deepens with every ill-conceived project and every broken promise. Let's take a walk down memory lane and revisit the colossal failures that have defined Kathleen Kennedy's time at Lucasfilm. It all started with the sequel trilogy, a haphazard, disjointed mess that butchered the legacy of the original characters while offering nothing of substance in return. Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, once the heart and soul of the Star Wars saga, were reduced to tragic caricatures of their former selves. Han was turned into a deadbeat dad, Luke into a bitter recluse who had apparently forgotten everything he once stood for. These weren't just bad creative decisions, they were outright betrayals of the characters that fans had grown up idolizing. And for what? To push a new, poorly developed cast that failed to capture the magic of the originals. The new characters weren't the problem, it was the lazy, uninspired writing that let them down, turning what could have been a fresh take on the Star Wars universe into a cringe-worthy exercise in pandering and political correctness. And then there's Solo, a Star Wars story which deserves a special mention for being the first Star Wars film to actually lose money. I think about that for a second. Star Wars, a franchise that has been a license to print money since 1977, actually managed to produce a box office bomb under Kennedy's watch. It's almost impressive in a twisted, how badly can you screw this up kind of way. The fact that Kennedy could take such a beloved character and deliver a film so bland, so unnecessary, that audiences simply didn't care, speaks volumes about her complete and utter mismanagement of the franchise. But the disasters don't stop there. The Disney Plus era of Star Wars has been a cavalcade of mediocrity and missed opportunities. Shows like The Acolyte, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and The Book of Boba Fett were supposed to be the shining jewels of the franchise's new era. Instead, they turned out to be forgettable, poorly written messes that failed to capture the imagination of even the most die-hard fans. The Acolyte, in particular, stands as a testament to how far the franchise has fallen, with its audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes plummeting to a dismal 13% at one point. How does a Star Wars show, a series that practically sells itself, end up being such a colossal failure? The answer, as always, points back to Kathleen Kennedy. What's even more infuriating is the constant string of broken promises and projects that never see the light of day. Kennedy has a laundry list of announced films and trilogies that have vanished into thin air, leaving fans with nothing but frustration. Remember the Rian Johnson trilogy? The Rogue Squadron movie by Patty Jenkins? The much-hyped films by Marvel's Kevin Feige and the Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss? None of these have materialized, and at this point it's doubtful they ever will. Each new announcement is just another carrot on a stick, dangled in front of fans who are desperate for a return to form that never seems to come. Kennedy's leadership has been a masterclass in overpromising and underdelivering, a cycle of hype and disappointment that has worn down the goodwill of even the most loyal Star Wars devotees. The irony of it all is that Kathleen Kennedy, who once promised George Lucas she would take care of his life's work, has done anything but. Under her stewardship, the Star Wars franchise has gone from being the most evergreen intellectual property of all time to a punchline for YouTubers and streamers. What was once a cultural phenomenon has become a cautionary tale of how not to handle a beloved franchise. And now we're supposed to believe that she wants to leave on a high note. After all the damage she's done, after all the goodwill she squandered, she actually thinks she deserves to go out on top. It's almost tragic how out of touch Kathleen Kennedy has become, clinging to this delusion of a big win that she can ride off into the sunset. The truth is, the Star Wars franchise will only begin to heal once she's gone. If Disney has any sense left, they will not renew her contract in October. The best thing Kathleen Kennedy can do for Star Wars at this point is to step aside and let someone else, someone with a genuine understanding and respect for the franchise, try to salvage what's left. But based on her track record, that seems like too much to ask, so here we are, stuck in limbo, watching as Kathleen Kennedy continues to cling to a position she's long since proven unfit for. It's a sad state of affairs when the only hope for the future of Star Wars is the departure of the very person who was supposed to safeguard its legacy. Kathleen Kennedy's tenure at Lucasfilm will be remembered as a period of profound disappointment, a time when one of the greatest stories ever told was reduced to a shadow of its former self. The sooner she leaves, the better. Until then, the Force remains very much out of balance. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below what your thoughts were on Kathleen Kennedy's desire to leave the Star Wars franchise.